Chester is very, very interesting. I actually liked his. I felt like I was almost watching Eminem in a way. I mean, you brought that character like that.
Which era of Eminem?
When he was
the later.
Yeah, right.
Which was interesting. Talk about playing that. What were you going for? Because it worked.
Honestly, I was just talking about this a minute ago. I can't help myself to try to play the funny of things. Even if it might be wrong, I'm an idiot. I just will do the pratfall for the laugh. So anything that I can find funny, that's where I really went for. This sort of the situation in the context of the movie was just, it would be just like any other movie I did. It would be, all right, well, where are the beats in here where it can be really hysterical, you know? And Chester's based on like a couple of real people that I met through Sean and when he was doing research for the movie. And that's how it was for Starlet. It was the same thing. It was based on some real individuals. So I just sort of take their mannerisms and just amplify them and try to make them, you know, just a little bit bigger, because it's still a movie, you know.
That whole scene with Donatime there, was it on a page?
No, so the way that Sean and Chris write is that they make script notes, right? So it'll be 30 to 45 pages, right? And we'll have the scene and we'll go over it, and there'll be certain lines that we all have to hit to make sure that the plot propels itself forward. But then everything else can be an add-on. Throw this in here, and Sean and I would confer and go, oh, what would be really fun to say right here? And what could we say to, you know, Mama-san, and, you know, that would be really ridiculous. And so it's actually like a really fun process, because it's like writing jokes for stand-up comedy on the fly, but then you're also trying to do it in the context of like a very serious narrative, you know.
And you get the luxury of trying different versions of that?
Oh yeah. There's
Even though
also,
I thought it was a pretty short shoot, but...
Well, I think I only worked on that, I think, 2 or 3 days. Yeah. But it was, I mean, it's so fun to have that freedom, you know, of like, oh, maybe this joke works, maybe it doesn't.
What was it like first meeting Sean, you know, years ago, and what keeps you answering his calls?
Well, first of all, right now, I can't get a job to save my life. I've been auditioning for like 8 months straight. I have 4 movies coming out in a row. No one's hiring me for anything. So if anyone's calling continuously, I'll work for them. I'm like, all right, dude, what are we doing next? Just tell me where to be there. I'll fly myself. It's totally good. But Sean and I met in a really weird way.
Yeah.
My dog got hit by a car, and Sean's dog was in the animal hospital at the same time. And he said that, he's like, I like your work from The Wire, and he was really sweet about it, instead of being like, hey, buddy, and I'm like, dude, my dog's almost fucking dead, you know. But then we started seeing each other at Crunch, and he told me about Crunch the gym, which was really weird, in New York, and he said he was making Starlet. I was like, hey man, just call me and I'll come do it. It sounds really fun, you know. And I think because I understand the type of movies that Sean is trying to make, and the thread across all of them is that they're labor movies. They're about vocations, right? So it's like takeout Chinese delivery guy, you know, Prince of Broadway guy from Africa selling DVDs. It's all about the disassociation between people that might otherwise be marginalized because of their vocations, and then humanizing them and going like, well, just because you have this job doesn't mean that defines your entire identity, you know? And that, I think, transcends all of Sean's movies. And I'm really interested in that, just personally, not as an actor, but just those are the types of things that I think about often. And, you know, like our identities in society is like, how do we just go, all right, well, yeah, I do this, and I'm a fucking garbage man, and I'm a CEO. It's like, well, we both experience the same pain when we get sick and our parents die. Like, these are all projections that we put on top of each other, as opposed, and that's why people like Tangerine. I think it's like, oh, it takes it down to the human level. It's just a fucking human being the same problems that I had, you know.
You've done your fair share of like independent films, but going to set on this film with an iPhone or 3 iPhones, did you feel like it was? Did you approach it any differently than you would have your other, films or TV shows?
You mean in terms of my work?
Yeah, just in terms of, did you feel like more comfortable being that it was just being recorded on a phone as opposed to, or did that not have any impact?
It didn't really impact me because, again, Sean and I are actually friends, and Sean works very similarly to the way that I work, which is we constantly want to be making something. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just the same way. I'm like, I don't care if it's a $30 million movie or a $200,000 movie. If I'm not running the dog, me being the dog every day, I feel terrible. And so Sean and I are really similar. So he's like, I have to make this movie. I have to do it right now. He's like, Radium and I are going to use iPhones. I was like, all right, cool, that's fine. And the only thing that I thought about was all of the other sort of luxuries that are lacking on a more closed offset, which was, the donut time's still technically going to be open. You're like, oh man. You know what I mean? That's the shit where it's like, I don't care about the phone, but I care about the fact that I'm going to be saying some line and some meth head's going to cruise in at 2:30 on a Wednesday, like demanding a bunch of donuts to ruin my best take. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm sort of thinking.
Were a lot of
about.
takes ruined that way?
There were a couple, yeah. Yeah, there were a couple.
But no one who like, oh, let's get him a release form and use him in the film?
No, because the street hustle is that someone will go, oh, if I keep fucking interrupting them, they'll pay me to go away eventually. And that was what you had to deal with a couple of times.
Your character, of course, is referenced from practically the first line of the film, but you do not appear until the end.
Yeah.
Does that change anything for your process as an actor, or are you just like, okay, here's my scene and now it's my time?
Yeah, I don't know. That stuff, that's all ego shit. It's just more like, how can I show up and be as helpful as possible? You know, of course I want to look good, but it's not like, I'm only in one scene. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, I just meant that the audience has a huge amount of expectation.
Oh, right.
You have a lot of story as an actor to work with before you show up. So it's like, the audience is going to have a conception of you even before you appear. I think it might create an interesting sort of...
Well, I tend to do a little bit better if... I know this sounds crazy, but it's really hard for me to come on and... I've noticed it before. I'm not as good if I come on and say like 3 lines, right? Because what am I gonna do? There's not much for me to do, but I'll still obsess about it in the same way, right? I'll still obsess making those 3 lines as perfect as possible. So the more stuff that I have to chew on or think about, just in terms of a creative evolution, the better it is for me. And it just so happened that there was already enough there from meeting the real person and knowing what Sean was going for that I didn't really think about it, It was just like, oh, I get to show up and play this kind of shitty asshole. And
Did you feel that way on Starlet? You have to show up and play a shitty asshole? Or,
like, let's be honest. I was like, dude, fuck, with Sean, like, this fucking again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Again. At least the reaction from Tangerine is like, Chester's really likable. It's like, all right, still the same shithead that I was in Sean's last movie.
Nothing personal.
What?
Nothing personal.
No, actually, Sean didn't want me to do the movie at first because it was too much like Starlet, and I was working on a play in New York, and he asked me for a friend of mine's number to play Chester, right? And I was like, yeah, sure, yeah. I was like, I'll call him and tell him you're gonna call and you're making this movie, and my friend never called him back, so he's like, he didn't call back, so do you mind with Sean? I was like, dude, for a couple of days, yeah. But the next thing that I'm doing with Sean will be it's completely different. Yeah, because I was like, I'm not doing this shit again. Is basically what I said.
What does Tangerine mean to you?
What does it mean to me? It means it looks like an orange, but it's not an orange.
Can you talk about working with Maya and Kiki? Like, this was their first film. I had a lot to do with some of the storytelling.
Uh-huh.
What was it like on set with them? Was there a lot of working with them, showing them things? Did you learn anything from them?
No, I mean, it's kind of just it'd be the same as what if I worked with anybody else, you know? And the difference is that you do anything long enough and you'll eventually get good at it, right? And some people have an innate ability to do skateboarding, surfing, making food, right? But if you do anything long enough, you'll just eventually be good. And so they just hadn't really done that much before, but there's enough raw stuff there that I didn't think, oh, great first-time actors. It was just, Kiki was really fucking funny and really fast. She's so fast on, so I would ad-lib stuff, and it actually made it in the movie where I was like, come on, spit it out. And she goes, I swallowed. And I go, I set myself up for that one. That was a genuine, I was like, I got nothing to give you. And she just, that came out and I was like, all right, fair enough, you won. But then I talked about this a little bit before. I just did some stuff with her that I had done with any other actors. The big final showdown scene at the end, and she's supposed to be really upset. I was off camera and I was trying to provoke the meanest thing that I could say to her, to see if I could get her to cry, or to see if I could get, her to get really angry. And it's like, yeah, you hate me right this second, but when you see this cut together, you'll be so happy I was so shitty. You know what I mean right now? But I wouldn't, I've done that to actors that have acted for 30 years off camera, doing stuff like that. So it wasn't really I tried not to approach it any differently, because they're really good. I mean, that's the truth. It's more you get into a situation, and if someone's not good, it's like, oh, okay, well, what do I have to do to help sort of bring out the best in you? Is there what can I do to help you? And I didn't really have to do all that much for this, and not that I have to all the time, but sometimes you get stuck in that situation.
Did you have any idea that the reception at Sundance would be what it was?
No, I'm really happy that it's like the little engine that could. It really feels like that, but I'm a very harsh critic of my own work and things that I've been in, and I'm pretty objective about stuff. And when Sean I was at Sean's house and he was showing me early cuts of it, and I remember thinking to myself, this is really good. This is a really good movie. And I don't have that reaction. A lot of times it's like, fuck, where's the movie that we shot? This is a totally different thing. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not surprising because Sean's really talented. It's, you know what I mean? So I'm happy that it's doing well, but I'm not surprised. But, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks. It was nice meeting all you guys.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you. Take it easy.